Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. This is the 1839. I'm David Landriault, and we're here with the amazing Jeff Antonelli. If you don't know him, you should. You're probably not from Galveston if you don't know him. He has done some amazing things. So, of course, all of the shrimp and stuff. You probably also know that he's been on the Planning Commission. You may not know that he was instrumental in helping with the Galveston County Food Bank way back in the day, which I just found out today, and I think that's cool. Scouting and many other things that we'll talk about. I just want to thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I'm glad to have you here. This is fun.
Thank you so much.
I've been waiting for this for quite a while. You've become a fixture in Galveston, not just for shrimp and stuff, but for your work. You've pretty much shaped the island's future in many ways quietly. I notice sometimes the most influential people, they do it very subtly, and so people may not know all the things that you've done. I didn't know about the Galveston County Food Bank till today, for example. So what values have guided you through this service and leadership?
Oh, I think it all goes back to my family was here during the 1900 storm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's real interesting because my grandmother was born in Galveston. Her parents were from Italy, from Livorno, just out in Tuscany. So they moved back they came in the 1860s, and then they moved back after the 1900 storm, before the First World War. And so then my grandmother married my grandfather. And so my father grew up hearing stories of Galveston. And so he returned to Galveston after the Second World War and still had a few relatives here. And I had the great opportunity to have grandparents in Italy and go over there. But one of the things was it was actually recovering from World War II. So a lot of the property there was a lot of people in need, and fortunately, my family was able to help and support the community there. So I grew up seeing my grandmother and grandfather help people.
Right.
And they built little community hospitals and stuff. So
That makes perfect sense.
it's just been in our family, service to others. So you grew up doing that. It was just the thing to do. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
So I'm assuming you've probably passed that down through your family lineage also.
I'm doing my best.
I know you are.
Yeah.
That's
So-
great. I love that family legacy, and it explains a lot about what you do. So you bought Shrimp and Stuff back in 2008.
Just before Ike.
Wow.
But that was one of the coolest things, that helped me understand the significance that Shrimp and Stuff has other than to the local community. Because
Right.
I grew up eating there. Even before it was there at Fisherman's Wharf.
Oh, yeah.
I went to school with the Shaw family, who are the ones that started Shrimp
Right.
and Stuff. But what was amazing was after Ike, I kept getting calls from Dallas, Fort Worth, even Springfield, Illinois, all over the state. Are you guys okay? We'll be there this summer to support you and stuff. So
That's great.
it was a culture that I really didn't realize being a local that existed. So it's really been a privilege,
That's
taking
great.
it over and trying
Yeah.
to build it and
Yeah.
make it a little better.
It's a cultural institution. You have 3 locations now,
We
right?
do,
So
yeah. We started off at the original location at 39th and Avenue. And one of the things that we kept getting is, I come here once a week and this is my time to be bad because everything's fried, but I have to do it. Can you get something grilled or something? And
Right.
we looked, and it's just not feasible at that location. I had to shut down and completely redo it. And
Yeah.
so that's when we decided to open up Shrimp and Stuff downtown, and we broadened the menu. So now we have grilled. And that whole thought process behind that was, I wanted to have something that was what I grew up eating as a kid,
Yeah.
like at Guido's and the
Right,
Pelican
of course,
Room and
yeah.
Clary's. And
Oh,
actually,
okay.
when I was a kid, Clary was our waiter.
Yeah.
And then he opened Clary's. And Clary actually gave me a lot of good tips. So we wanted to do something that had, what people came to Galveston for. Grilled and broiled food,
Right.
snapper, shrimp.
Right.
So it's all local stuff.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. So I know you served on the Planning Commission for years, and you helped steer decisions that help Galveston shoreline, the neighborhoods, future growth. I know you've already said what drove you to that level of civic engagement, but what lessons do you think you've learned that we need to apply to the future of Galveston? Are we doing it right, essentially? Because I know that planning is very key to our success as a community.
The things that I learned on the planning commission is I would never have beachfront property personally. No,
Yeah.
but it's just so much involvement.
Mm.
You have to have rules and guidelines and stuff. One of the things that saddened me being on the planning commission was the misunderstanding that the public has as to what our role is. And also how people who have lived on the West End for so many years and have grown up, raised their children there, and now there's so much interest and economic development down there, and these people are coming and buying the lots next to them and building a house, and it's blocking their view, and they come and protest and say, we didn't want houses down here. But the truth is, if people do things right and follow the law, there's no recourse in the planning commission. So it's frustrating, especially because I know 90% of the people that come there, and you have to tell them no, and it's like, oh no. But one of the things that's real interesting is we had so many cases about dunes and encroachment and water lines and stuff, and it's incredible how much climate change has affected our island, and
really
people
is.
Want to be in denial about that, but it's true. And it makes people unhappy because the water lines change, storms come, dunes are eroded, and we need to do so much to help improve that. And I think one of the things that is going to be a necessity in the near future is trying to find that balance between economic development and preserving our island and what makes people come here.
Right.
So-
And that's a central theme and it's something that we really want to touch deeply on because everyone talks about it, but no one has an answer.
Right.
You know? And it's like, no one can even really define what it means in
Exactly.
the same way. But I think there is an answer. And I think, talking to enough people, if you get experts together, people like yourself, we've talked to the mayor, David Finkley, others, everybody has a similar vision, but I don't think it's really coalesced into action sometimes. Everybody's kind of said, well, we all want this, but what can we do about it? Well, I think there are probably things that we can do that are starting to be done. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's why we love having you here, because we love getting your perspective on that. So it's somebody who knows a lot about it. So there's a story that I absolutely love about you sending meals to public works people during water line repairs. I think, and it was very, it's not like you publicized it. It's not like you tried to make a big deal out of it. We found it.
Yeah.
I wanted to highlight, I know you do a lot of things like that, many that don't make any press.
Right.
It's like, what drives you? What is it about those type of things that you enjoy that really, because I know you do. I know you well enough to know.
I mean, we do that, and we randomly just have, boiled shrimp giveaways at the parking lot. And we don't advertise it, but, the local people, it's amazing.
Yeah.
If you have something for free, a cell phone, in 20 minutes, you got 300 people.
That's right.
But that's
right.
a good thing.
Yeah, it is, especially if it's shrimp and stuff.
That's right.
Of course, you're
That's
going to
right.
get it.
But, the thing is I have and I hope that there's no misunderstanding here, but I see public workers and like people, the staff of Galveston, the people that pick up your trash,
Right.
the people at Galveston County Health District and stuff, they don't get enough appreciation. And I'm almost afraid to say this because somebody will be upset.
Go ahead and say it. That's what
But
we're here
the police and the firemen are on the same payroll. They serve a specific purpose,
right.
to keep us safe, which
Right.
is very important,
It
and
is.
I respect all of them.
Yeah.
But you and I don't think the trash men keep us safe, but they do. If they don't
Right.
show up, we're going to have outbreaks and rodents and stuff like that.
Right.
These people
Right.
are taking care of our public safety. And to see these people come and work in the heat, like in this particular case, they were busting their butt, and they understood that they needed to do a fast job so businesses weren't shut down, so
Right.
people's lives were better because of them. So whenever you can give back, it's important.
That's fantastic.
And that's one of the things that my mother and father always said. When you do good things come back to you. And I think that's karma, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. But it's important that you keep doing that and you just move on to the next thing.
Right,
It's not
right.
about, hey, we did this.
Right. Well, that's what that's what I love about you. And the more I found out a lot of things about you just trying to do this research. It's not like he told us this, we had to go find out, but I think it's really cool. And I think you're right. Like we all love police and firefighters. Don't get, I'm going to correct the quote here. We all love you guys, police and firefighters, but we also need to show the same attention and care to the people who maintain the water lines and pick up the trash and all these things.
Right.
All these people are valuable. They all contribute, and without them, the island doesn't run.
Exactly.
And that even includes city staff and the people who work in the offices of the city. There's lots of different people that we could go on and on, but this city runs because of each and every one of those individuals.
Absolutely.
So it's cool that you recognize that. So, awesome. So let's move on to sort of like the island we want to build here. So Galveston's always evolving, sometimes fast, sometimes it slows down. You can argue sometimes it goes backwards, but you're somebody that's kind of helped push things forward, I feel like. So is there like one moment of civic decision making that really like stays with you, something that you feel like was an important moment for the island, or something, whether you were a participant or just a supporter?
There's like the major incidents like Hurricane Alicia and Ike that really changed the landscape of the island and the direction things went. One of the things that, while I was on the planning commission, that was controversial but I think really needed was all the short-term rentals and different neighborhoods becoming R1 and not wanting to have that. Right. And understanding that there's people that have invested time and money and hoping to make a living on short-term rentals. Right. And then there's the abuse of people from, and I hate to categorize the out-of-towners, that come in and ruin it for all of us, right? But, I had some friends of mine that had property down in Bermuda Beach.
Oh, okay.
Some of the houses in the neighborhoods were rented out by big corporations like Walmart and stuff like that. Right. And they would send down their managers who were manager of the week, and like 40 people would show up and have terrible parties and leave trash everywhere. And that was the example of things we don't want to have. Right. I think they're moving in a better direction, and I think it can be a good thing. Mm-hmm. But I think one of our biggest issues is keeping people on the island, creating jobs that are well-paying jobs. Yeah, for sure. Because when I went to high school, I graduated from O'Connell High School, and my graduating class was 120 people. Oh, wow. And now I don't think there's 120 people in the entire Galveston Catholic school system. Right. So, but that was because there were jobs, and the port was here. I mean, I grew up when they started the Strand and all that reconstruction, and the Strand's a wonderful thing, but we lost so many businesses in the port. I mean, I grew up in the travel business, and as a teenager, my job was to deal with seamen that coming off the ship and repatriate them back to wherever they had to go. Right. And in the U.S. National Bank building, which is now Frost building, there were 15 steamship agencies just in that one building. So that's how much business was coming and going, and now it's changed. And it's, don't get me wrong, it's good. The cruise industry is great. All the shops on the Strand are doing well, and our festivals are good. Right. It's just, I think out of my graduating class, I know 3 people that graduated with me that are still here making a living. Wow. They've all moved to the mainland. That's where the jobs are, which is okay. Most of it's still in Galveston County. But I think we're at a point now where some of the decisions we'll be making in the next few years can be really positive and impacting, attracting people back to the island. For sure. So. For sure. So are you following the developments out at the port or the Pelican Island with Davies and the Gulf Copper? I just heard about that. Yeah, so that is so exciting. We have an exclusive that we're breaking today. We talked to Josh Owens. We worked with the GEDP, and so we talked to him about some of the things we need to do to keep that here. But he was saying that this is a $1 billion potential revenue boon for the
area.
Right.
And then it's going to bring in more than just the shipbuilding. It's going to bring, and these are ice breaking ships that they're
Right.
going to build. So, but it's going to bring in other industries, of course. The thing that was the coolest to me is he said these jobs are going to pay between $80,000 and $120,000.
Oh, yeah.
So these are people who can live here. You know,
Exactly.
finally, this is exactly what people have been saying they wanted
Yeah.
forever, right?
Right.
So 2,000 to 2,500 new people that could afford to live here, to bring kids. They're working age, so they're going to bring children into the school system. That helps
Absolutely.
to bring in more money. So it's a really big thing. And of course, what we need is to get the legislature and the local government to bring the incentives in so that they can compete with all the other, because they've bought Gulf Copper. That's a done deal. Whether they get this contract or not is still up in the air. So
Right.
what they're trying to do is get the incentives. So, but we want to get the word out about that and make sure that everybody starts to support this, because it's a big opportunity for the
Absolutely.
communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I would fit in helping out, but if there's anything I can do to help support it,
We'll do,
I'm on board.
You're doing it right now, just talking about it. We're getting the word out. Yeah, we'll definitely be talking to you more about it as we go, because
Yeah.
it's going to be an ongoing story for a while.
Hey,
Good.
you
Okay.
know, I don't know this. You can take this as you want, but I think that's one of the big problems that we have right now is not getting good news out. You know,
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
so distracted
Exactly.
by all the crazy stuff that's
That's
going on in our country
Exactly right.
that we're not focusing on the things that are important in our
Yep.
community,
That's right.
and that it's up to us, not
Mhm.
Austin or Washington, to tell us how to run our cities.
That's absolutely
You know,
right. And
so-
that's the very reason that we started 1839 was
Right.
because we wanted to get those stories out, and we wanted to build up people. There are these amazing people like yourself and others in the community that are doing these great things, but it gets wiped off the headlines. You need to cover stories that are negative. There's a house fire, there's things
Right,
like that.
right.
But when you cover those things exclusively, you know, when it bleeds, it leads. If that's your
Yeah.
mentality, then all the positive stories get wiped off.
Exactly.
So we know that those stories are going to get covered. We're not worried about those. We're trying, you know, we're trying to, yeah, we're just trying to build up people in the community and bring those people together to work with each other and cooperate. That's part of it too. So as one of the 39ers, you know, we want to make sure that your wisdom is being passed along to people like Craig Brown and others, so that you're all interacting together, so
Sure.
that you can you know, continue to do what you do.
Well, thank you.
And if we can in some tiny way be a conduit to that, then the whole thing is a success for us. So.
Good.
Let's talk about I'd say it's probably the elephant in the room of Galveston. It's like we're trying to protect the environment, but we also need tourists. We're trying to protect our dunes. We're trying to protect the culture. We're trying to protect the architecture, what makes Galveston good, but we also have to bring in dollars. We have to move people in. We have to develop. We have to bring in tourism. Where do you think, and you mentioned the cruise business, that's also part of it too. Where do you think we've gone right, and where do you think we've gone wrong?
Oh,
If we have gone
that's
if either of those.
$1 million.
That is right. It's
Yeah,
more
one
than
of
it's
the
$1 billion
things-
question.
Yeah, one of the things I think that probably the average Galvestonian doesn't know is that one of our largest sources of tourism and dollars
Mhm.
is with the birds, people coming down to watch the birds,
Yeah,
because
Featherfest.
Galveston in between like Anahuac and
Right.
or High Island and a little further past Freeport is like the major passage for all migrating
It
birds.
is. It is.
And I learned a little bit about it. It's amazing growing up in Galveston how much you don't know about. You know, one of the things when I was in college, everybody, oh, you're from Galveston, that's so cool. And they start telling you things about Galveston. It's like, oh yeah. But anyway, one of the ways I found out about how big the birding is in
Yeah.
Galveston was when I was in Boy Scouts. I would take my scouts over to High Island to
Mhm.
the sanctuary, the bird sanctuary.
Yeah.
Have you been over there?
Uh,
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And we learned so much. And I had a doctor from UTMB, the retired doctor that was an avid birder, and he would come and teach the birding merit badge. And then, you know, I started hearing about the housing rentals and how much money these people spend on the island.
Right.
And I know we have Featherfest, which is great, but I think if we could promote more of that ecotourism,
Right.
it would be beneficial not only in preserving wetlands. I know that Artist Boat's real active in doing that.
Right.
But I think if more of the community realized how much that was, they could cater to it more.
Right. Right.
You know.
And you've actually echoed exactly what Craig Brown said in his interview. So I can tell you guys you're on to something, and that is huge. And I think it's something that really needs a specific focus. I don't know if that would be a commission. I don't know, what that would look like from a civic structural point of view, or whether it's just something that people need to informally take on. But it would be great to do it because there's so many. I mean, even if you just look at something like kayaking or, all these things are ecotourism. You bring people in to do those type of activities. They go out and they spend more per visitor per dollar than almost any other visitors. So,
because I grew up, and back in the day, I would hear my father and his friends, they would have coffee every day. And they would talk about, the tourists are just coming down with an igloo cooler and going to the beach and going home. But, we have to fix that somehow. And so, and it, it was fixed because, George Mitchell was one of those people I grew up sitting listening to, talking to my dad about stuff. And they did change that.
Yeah, they did.
But the other thing, too, is I think there's a community that's thriving in Galveston that I don't think a lot of the people know about, and that's programs like the Farmers Market, the Seeding Galveston, and even, what's her name, with the literacy.
Oh gosh,
she's doing some amazing stuff.
We'll find it and we'll put it on the screen. Look, it's right down there. You see it? We knew it all along.
And so, my oldest daughter worked with her, and they started doing gardens in the public schools.
Yeah.
And now every school has their own garden in the, like at Weiss and Burnett.
And they're beautiful.
And they're beautiful.
We
the
did
kids are really actively involved in it.
They are. We did the Galveston Farmers Market, the walk that they do, and they take you to one of the gardens, and it's like, wow. I mean, these, they're just thriving. They're beautiful. I mean, and just what it adds to a child's life to experience. This is how food is grown. I can do this. I'm a part of this cycle. It changes.
And the Seeding Galveston is on 33rd, I think, and M or N or something.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And they have amazing stuff going on there. They just recently got electricity, so that's going to really help them out.
That's great. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, but they have not only do they grow amazing stuff, and they sell it on the weekends. You can go and buy fresh vegetables and stuff. And they have goats and turkeys and chickens. And I mean, these are assets that are on the island that I think need to be publicized somehow.
I agree.
One of the things that I talked to back in the day when the farmers market first started was trying to get a supply of fresh vegetables and herbs for the restaurants. And at the time, it was still too soon, but I think that's something that I know I definitely want to revisit. And I would hope that some of the other restaurants on the island would, because, I mean, we have such quality restaurants on this island and so much to offer.
We do.
It's just would be so much better if we could say,
and that farm to table, that's really big.
Because, and it's interesting. One of the things that, as a business person, I never thought about, because as much as you hate to admit it, you have to think about the bottom line. My daughter one day said, a lot of my friends are not going to come to the restaurant because you have styrofoam, and it's like, what? And can't you switch over to this and that? So I looked into it, and like, for example, styrofoam cups would be, $1 a case.
Right.
And if I buy the eco-friendly ones, it's like $8 a case. And it's like, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
But we figured out a way to try to make that change. So instead of styrofoam cups, we contracted with Pepsi or Coke, and they gave us the glasses.
Great.
And so, but that's changed too, because now we're using the cardboard and stuff like that. But those are changes that I realize were important to a different generation of people.
Right.
And so now they've come back. It's like, I got 40-year-olds and 30-year-olds, so, but it
good.
is important,
It is.
and there's more to it than the bottom line.
Yeah, for sure. If there was a tagline for you, it would be, there's more to it than the bottom line. And that's not just in business. I think that's in the way you invest in the community and people. And, we appreciate everything you're doing for us as well and your interview today. So you're a 39er now, so for better or for worse. You're part of a group, we're committed to shaping Galveston's story. I mean, that's something you're already doing. So I would just say, and we've covered this already. I know it's partially because you're family, but what do you think really draws you to this community? Because you could go anywhere. You're a successful business person. What keeps you here? Why don't you move to the mainland? Like all your friends have.
Well, that's a really good question.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, no.
I take it back. Don't go anywhere.
A lot of people have been joking about, I'm a BOI, but now I'm going to be a TOI, which is taxed off the island.
Oh.
And I think we can work to change that. There's so much work that needs to be done at the city that could make things better and make a lot, but like anything, change is going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Going back to the question, what made an impact on me and why do I want to change things on the island?
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go back to the Boy Scouts and gleanings from the harvest, which is now the Galveston County Food Bank.
Right.
I got involved with it through Boy Scouts because they had a thing called the potato dump or something like that. And what it was is Mark Davis, who was one of the founders of the thing, found out about my Boy Scout troop, and this is how we met. And so we met, and they bring in an 18-wheeler full of potatoes, and they literally dump it in a parking lot.
Wow.
And you have to give all those potatoes away. So Gleanings from the Harvest was doing that through their consortium people, and they asked the Boy Scouts to come and help. So we showed up in St. Patrick's parking lot with an 18-wheeler full of potatoes, and we're bagging them up, and people are coming to pick up potatoes, you know? And so you would see all walks of life came, And so one of the things that kind of sparked me to think a little differently was I saw some people that showed up that I knew were extremely well off. And they're showing up to pick up all these potatoes. I'm thinking, oh man. And so I said something to Mark, and he goes, it's kind of like what Mother Teresa said, you can't love somebody if you're judging them. And so I come to find out that those people they came to pick it up to distribute to neighbors and elderly people that were locked in.
Right.
And so, it's so difficult to judge.
That's great.
So then with all these potatoes distributed, we had a whole bunch left. So we took these bags and we went to, back then, we called them the projects that are no longer here anymore, but Cedar Terrace and Palm Terrace.
Right.
And we just went door to door handing them out.
Mm-hmm.
And all my scouts, they're young kids, and they were just like in shock. And they didn't realize that existed in Galveston.
Right.
And so they were going, oh my God. And it dawned on me too. I mean, I always knew it was there, but you don't realize how much people need food and other basic things until you go and do it. So
that's true.
That's what got me involved in the food bank. And one of the great things about Gleaning from the Harvest that attracted me was that at the end of the day, when we collected food, if we hadn't given it all out, we weren't doing our jobs.
Right.
And I would go to other people that distribute food and stuff, and they would come in and show you how well stocked their pantry was, and it's like, and we give out this much a day, and it's like, but people are hungry.
Right.
Well, we have to have it just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case is now.
Right.
And so that was one of the wonderful things.
Someday is now.
Yeah. And then what kind of moved us into becoming the Galveston County Food Bank was Katrina, because there was so much need with all the people coming in that the local donations couldn't do it, which are very generous. I mean, the island is very generous. But that got us into talks and stuff. And I was a little hesitant because anytime you deal with federal agencies and state agencies. There's so much bureaucracy, but we found ways around that and made sure people got food. But
That's great.
One
of the things I think is super cool about Galveston, and we've always said this, is we may fight all the time when things are bad.
Yeah.
But the minute there's a freeze, the minute there's a hurricane, the minute there's a flood, everybody becomes best friends, and we all work together and support each other and build the community back up. And then when everything's okay, we go back to fighting again.
Yep.
And that's just the way it works.
It's like a
but
big
I mean,
family.
it's like a family, right? When things are tough, we're there for each other. And so that's what I personally love about Galveston. And so that's, I've seen that time and time again with the storms and with the freeze and things like that. So, and then lessons are learned and things are done differently the next time. You've been a mentor, you've supported, you've advocated for the community. What do you hope your legacy is? I know that's a difficult question, right? You're not supposed to define. That's going to be a while. You have lots more to do.
Right.
But, what do you hope will be your legacy? What would you like to leave behind in your family, in the people whose lives you've touched?
I think one of the things I would like to see become a part of the island, and not only in our city operations and, collaborations with the business community and the city and the county and stuff like that, was a lesson that we learned at the food bank, or gleanings from the harvest, and all the entities after Katrina, because it's exactly what you said. We all got together and sat down, everybody, but what we did was we learned to communicate and work with each other, because we all sat there and said, this is what we do really well. The Jesse Tree had their thing, and this is what, and so let's focus on that and not try to be everything to everybody.
Right.
And that's what it was before. Yeah. And when people donate money or pay their taxes or whatever, they want to feel good about it.
Yeah.
But they want to know where it's going, if it's being used properly. So if I could in any way contribute to getting people to sit down and work together and communicate again for the welfare of the city and the people, then that would be great.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for. So you just did that. We appreciate that. That was great. And I know you do it you do it every day. Maybe sometimes it's not, most of the time it's not on camera, but what you do quietly, the way you support people, the way you build people up, the way you make these decisions, and you really put your whole heart into things. It doesn't go unnoticed by people who see those type of things. So just talking about the brand now, Shrimp and Stuff, you have 3 locations like we mentioned. Each one's rooted in a different part of the island. Tell me a little bit about what would I experience if I went to each different place? I mean, I kind of know what the original, you mentioned the grilled foods at the downtown location.
Yeah.
So,
well, the original location is as Galveston as it gets.
Right.
And it's the experience of fresh local seafood. Like I say, it was started by the Shaw family, which had Fisherman's Wharf on Pier 22, which was where it's like what Katie's is now, but there was a bunch of them back in the day.
Right.
And so the fish came in, the shrimp came in, so Mrs. Shaw said, well, why don't we start serving some poor boys? And that's how that began.
Right.
And so that carries on that tradition. It's fresh local seafood in a friendly family type thing, nothing fancy. You go get your pager, you sit down. It's really the old school Galveston, family run seafood restaurant.
It is. Everybody knows your name.
Right, exactly. I'm not sure this is the right thing to say, but like if you show up in July and we've got a line out the door and you're a local and we know you, we're going to move your ticket up. You're not going to wait 35 minutes.
Right.
You're going to get yours pretty quick. So
locals will like to hear that.
Well, you can't afford the feedback if you have to. If they have to wait. You know how locals are.
Right.
Oh man, I had to wait 25 minutes.
Right.
So it's one of those places where you know everybody that's there.
Right.
And the other thing that has been really a wonderful thing for me is the number of young people that their first job is Shrimp and Stuff. And so I still get people that are my age they go, "Oh, Sherpa stuff. That was my first job. I worked for Jim and Catherine." You know, so it's amazing. But and one of the things I think that having a summer job like at a Sherpa stuff is it helps builds a good work ethic.
It does.
It really does. And I've been really blessed with good people that have been there. I've had people that have been there 25 years and stuff. They set good examples. That's what you have to do. Is all you can do is set a good example and hope people follow it.
Right.
The downtown restaurant has become more and more locals are starting to come there. But since, like on the weekends, we serve breakfast and stuff, we're starting to get regulars that come after church and stuff, and they try to get there early before the tourists come.
Right.
One of the things that has really grown is our catering business with the downtown restaurant.
That's great.
Because we have such a wide variety. And basically, when you cater, it doesn't matter. We can do prime rib or whatever. We'll just cook it for you.
Oh, cool. You heard it here first.
There you go. And so that's been a really wonderful addition, is opening up that catering business.
Yeah.
And we do actually have a full bar there, so people come and we have a little happy hour, and that's starting to grow.
You've got that nice private room in the front. And everything. So
I have a lot of birthday parties and wedding receptions and stuff like that.
That's great. That's great.
And then the food trailer down in Jamaica Beach has been kind of taken on a life of its own. They have their own little following down there. And Eric, who's our manager, has done an amazing job of growing that to the point that we've even considered building a restaurant down there, but we don't want to. I think the food truck is enough. And
it's nice. It's got a lot of character. It's got a great menu. So
it really does, and it supports not only the locals that live down there that want to, on their way home, grab some gumbo to take it home, so after a long day of work. But also during COVID, it really did surprisingly well, because so many people that could work remotely instead of being in Houston would come to their beach house. And so this business picked up. And I think in some strange way, COVID really helped the development on the West End.
It did.
People saw how nice it is down there.
And what it's like to live there year round. It's not too crazy,
Exactly.
It's nice when it's quiet. And so this partnership with the 1839, we ask you to join. It's not something we ask everyone. The reason we ask you is because we feel like you are somebody we trust to tell us the truth. You've given back to the community. I really appreciate it. I hope that you feel like we're going to help you contribute your voice to, because I feel like the only thing I would say is sometimes maybe voices like yours are a little too quiet. So if we can act as a megaphone for you to try to get that message out there about what you know about the community, and also about your great restaurants and other things like that, then we're really happy with the partnership. So I just want to thank you for being here today, and I've been looking forward to this interview. I've done a bunch of them, but I've been looking forward to this one, and I really appreciate it. Is there anything we didn't talk about you want to add, or?
No, but if I think of something, maybe you'll have me back.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to have you back. And see, he's humble to the end. He's just, all right. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
You did a great job. This was wonderful, and I think people will enjoy watching it. So,
all right, cool.
All right, we'll see you next time.